to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
I don't know how you feel about it. It sounded like
I read through the tweet again, and I was like, okay, now I see what she like. I said, I just skimmed through because we've been gone all day, and so then I actually sat down and read it, and I'm like, okay, so basically she's saying one coach is talking shit about Shedeur, and nobody else really got that vibe.
Yeah, and really strong chance that team needs a quarterback, which shockingly, they're kind of, to say a top 7 pick,
There's 5 of the top 7 that really need a quarterback.
Right. Well, I'm like, okay, that makes, unless you just do that on purpose where you're like, you can't say top.
And guess what? It wasn't the Browns, because I doubt that our new quarterback coach, who's buddies with Deion Sanders, is going to be talking shit about Shedeur at the combine. No,
I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked. To me, it's Jets Raiders.
Yeah.
It's one of those two. It's not the Giants. They love them too much. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Unless it's like the Titans. I don't know. But
I'm with you. And actually, let's just kick off the show here, because I kind of like that conversation we were just having. And I might even just include it at the beginning of the episode, because why repeat it? We were having a good talk. For anybody just tuning in now, welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs podcast. Josh and Justin with you guys tonight. Blake was supposed to be here. We were going to have a 3-man crew like normal, but picked his kid up from daycare, and holy sty, he's got to take her to stat care, and that thing was gnarly, man. Yeah. So you just never know what you're gonna get with the kiddos. So Blake is not here tonight, just me and Justin, and not a whole lot of structure for this episode. We decided we're just gonna come in here and we're just gonna kick it. We're just gonna BS and talk about all things Browns, the rumors, the combine, draft stuff. Maybe we'll talk about free agents, some potential draft. Who knows what we're going to get into, but we have a couple key things that we do want to make sure we hit on. But again, this is just going to be a conversation between two dudes talking about the Browns. So if that's your thing, this is your episode. Before we do that, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe on YouTube, tap the notification bell. We keep postponing our 500 episode celebration, and we are going to do it. I keep saying that on every episode. We will do it. We will reschedule it, and you will know when it gets rescheduled if you have that notification bell tapped. And if you guys want to get in to the dog pack and, get into the private Discord and hang out with all the diehard fans in the community, it's jointhedawgs.com. You guys probably know that by now, but just got to keep repeating it. Get in there, check it out, get in the Discord. You guys get front row seats to playing fantasy football with us when that comes around. We got dynasty leagues in there that are going on right now. I mean, it's a ton of fun. So if that's interesting to you, join for a month. If you don't like it, you guys can just opt right back out. It's $5, no big deal. But it does help out the show, and we do very much appreciate our dog pack community. All right, man. So we kind of had a conversation going on before we rolled into the episode about this whole Shedeur Sanders thing at the combine, and we'll talk about all the rumors and everything that was coming out from the weekend and all that. But you brought up today about the Josina Anderson article, kind of calling out a head coach, talking crap about Shedeur Sanders, saying, well, actually I got it pulled up here so I can kind of use her exact wordage. So let's see, a head coach, or I'm not head coach. It was a quarterback coach, right?
Correct. Yep.
Quarterback coach from a team drafting in the top 7 referred to Shedeur Sanders as coming off as brash and arrogant in his team interview, making his assessment known to a number of people. She's not going to report the name, yada, yada, yada. But basically she says, it's not the vibe I got. That's not the vibe most teams got here. I'm sorry. It's just a big glob of text here. She was talking about on my screen, but she was talking about how he was very cognizant and intentional about calling out certain members of the media or recognizing people, calling on people. And she felt like he was pretty cordial with most of the media members, and that he was, presented himself pretty well. I heard from a lot of teams that Shedeur Sanders was, mature, professional, cordial was another word that, she used, and I heard a lot too. And Stefanski said, great young man. You can tell he's been raised by a Hall of Fame dad, all that kind of stuff. So, this one coach coming out and kind of dropping some not so great things about him. I don't know. What do you think about that?
So first impression, all I thought was it's that season. You know what I mean? We're in that time of the year. There's always smoke. Maybe there's always a little bit of fire here and there, but a lot of smoke. I feel like it's almost just like a lot of mind game going on. Teams are. You heard this a couple years ago with CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, did terrible on the the test,
S2 test. Yeah, he's a moron.
Yep, can't do anything. And had a great rookie season. I think for the most part, Houston would say that they found a future franchise quarterback in CJ Stroud. So I think it's just this kind of this time of the year. I also brought it up to you. Who knows? Maybe this top 7 random team, that they need a quarterback. Is it crazy for a quarterback coach that if he really loved Sanders and really thought that, his skill set fit with the team, that he wouldn't go out there and kind of try to shake some things up, maybe have the draft stock fall a little bit, maybe make him fall to, a team that's 6 or 7, a New York, a Raiders. Those were the two that popped up to me. I went, those two both need quarterbacks badly, and maybe not willing to trade up into a position to take Sanders at 2 or 3 or, wherever he is at.
Yeah, I've seen the speculation that this could have been the Jets. And honestly, based on say what you want about the Browns being a dumpster fire organization, all this kind of stuff. I'd rather be the Browns than the Jets.
Yeah,
they're a mess.
Yeah. And the crazy thing to me is I look at their roster and I go, man, it's a lot of good players on this roster. This is a talented roster. This is a roster that going into last year, 2 years ago now, people said quarterback away. You plug in a quarterback that can make things happen. This team's going to the Super Bowl and winning. I saw people just shrug off the Buffalo Bills like they were nothing because, Aaron Rodgers came to town. Now, obviously it didn't work out. They are still very much in their quarterback room. You have Tyrod Taylor now that look like the heir apparent to take over, but how confident would you be if you're the New York Jets with that decision? And then Jordan Travis, he's, we would like to believe that maybe there's something there. He was a dog in college, like he was the heart of that Florida State team, but are you really willing to let it all go for, a guy, a rookie, a second year coming off a major injury? It's a lot of risk. You know?
Well, and it's interesting that, and again, I'm not saying that I know it's the Jets, but I'm just saying that's what I've seen the speculation be. And it's interesting that that's the speculation on the same kind of day or time frame where it comes out that wasn't it Jordan Travis's agent came out and said that the Jets rushed him back in his rehab, and that's why he ended up missing the whole season because they weren't patient enough trying to get him whatever on the field. I don't know if it was at practice. I don't know what they wanted him for. I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers. You're not trying to rush him out there on Sundays, but they were trying to rush him back from his rehab. And he ended up prolonging everything, and that's why he missed the whole year. So it's just everything with the Jets right now.
Dysfunctional.
Yes.
It's crazy. As a Browns fan, I go, well, it could be worse, I guess.
Yeah, and if you're a Browns fan saying it could be worse, then because it's bad for us a lot of times. And man, I look at the Jets and I think, yeah, we are not the worst. Definitely not. But yeah, so I mean, going back to Shedeur, and I guess we can just talk rumors in general out of the combine. I did an episode over the weekend, kind of some of the stuff that Jared Mueller from Dawgs by Nature was writing about, but obviously more stuff happened yesterday and stuff more coming out today. But everything I've read, not just from the Browns, side of Twitter and their reporters and things like that, but just everybody that was at the combine kind of came away with the general consensus that it's Cam Ward QB1, and then it's a gap, and then it's tier 2 is Shedeur Sanders / Jackson Dart, with some people saying maybe Dart over Shedeur. Tony Grossi was on ESPN 850 today saying I would draft Jackson Dart before Shedeur. So I don't know, man. Like, how are you feeling coming out of the combine with some of this stuff?
I definitely think there's something with Cam Ward where you can say definitely a little bit more zip on the ball. Like you watch, even like when they're side to side, he's definitely got a little bit bigger arm.
He's been my dude this whole time.
Yeah, I think that the upside is there's a lot more upside with Cam Ward.
Yeah.
Now, like you look at Shedeur and you go, man, the mid-level like accuracy and just his accuracy in general, and like I think that's very, very important. not a huge arm, but like for me, I feel like his situation, he's a situational, like you could plug him in and he could do extremely well, I think, right off the bat, if in the right spot. Could he use a little bit of work on, footwork and stuff like that? Sure. They're all coming into the league first year. All of them could do this. But I guess for the Browns, I don't want to sound like I'm like crazy or anything, but like, let's say Cam Ward comes off the board at 1. Are we really like super upset with if it's Sanders sitting there? Because me personally, I'm not. You know what I mean? I don't look at it as like we're taking a guy that's ranked 25th on the board at 2 when we badly need a quarterback, when we badly don't have that position addressed, when it's, I don't know how you feel about it. And I think you were on the same page, but the most important position on the football field for a professional football team, it's pivotal. So at 2, there's no doubt in my mind that we have to take a quarterback. I think we're in a good position though, where even if somebody does trade up and, gives a haul to take Cam Ward at 1, like let's say even a New York or both New York teams now that is rumored to go up to 1. Are we upset with Sanders being there? Me personally, I'm not. I think the position is so crucial to identify and lock in that take your guy too.
Well, let me ask you this then, because I think I agree with you, and I'm with you that if we were at 2, Ward goes at 1, I want to take Sanders. Now, there are obviously other good players that the Browns can take. I get all that. But I'm thinking like if the draft was happening right now and they turned in the card and it wasn't Shedeur Sanders and it was somebody else, it was Hunter, it was Abdul, whatever, I would be disappointed. Not disappointed in the pick, because the pick's a great pick. That's going to be a great player. Disappointed in missing out. It's FOMO, fear of missing out on that potential quarterback where that's what we need. I mean, yes, the Browns have a ton of holes. We need all these different pieces. I get all that. But that's the one we need the most. We need it, and we're in position to take it. But I'm a little different than you, I think, because, and I'll ask you, like, would you be willing, if you were the Browns, would you want to see the Browns trade up to 1 to secure Cam Ward, if that's the guy they came away from the combine saying? And there's been a lot of talk. I told you guys I got a comment from Andrew Erickson from Fantasy Pros on Twitter, and I specifically asked him from the combine, like, what did you take away from the Browns side of things specifically? And he said, nothing too specific other than they love Cam Ward. Yeah. Like, okay, cool.
I would say this. I guess it really comes down to what's the price going to be for the number 1 pick. If you're talking about we're going to have to trade next year's first and maybe potentially another, let's say a third. If it's a third and a first, I'm staying at 2. I just watched the talent level from our team just get sucked dry by losing 3 first round. And I know they don't always hit, but you got to reinvigorate the team with some young talent, and they don't always hit, but at least, you're taking those swings and you have the opportunity to hit a home run and land an all pro here or there. But to go from 2 to 1, and I think the price is going to get bigger. I think there's going to end up being a bidding war. Tennessee to me gives me no vibes that they want anything to do with the number 1 pick. I just get that vibe that they're like, we'd be happy with just whatever fell to us, wherever we trade back to, if that's what they do. I could see New York, Giants or Jets grossly overpaying to go up to 1. I don't want to get into a bidding war for the number 1 overall pick. Now, like, let's say as time goes on and pro days and stuff like that roll out, who knows? Maybe our opinions will change, and maybe the gap between those 3 or even 1 to 2, 3 is so big that it's like it's not even. It's so obvious you have to go to 1 to get Cam Ward. Then I get it, but I guess it all comes down to what's the price going to be, because there will be a price.
Oh, there will be for sure, and I've been thinking about this a lot, over the weekend and just with all this stuff coming out from the combine, but. I've been very high on Cam Ward. I watched his tape, a couple months ago. I started going into him, and I'm just like, I just kept coming away every time like, damn, this guy, I can see it. Like, I can see where if he comes in and it clicks, he's going to be one of those guys. He's going to be one of the guys we talk about. those top 6, 7 names that we always rattle off when we're talking about the quarterbacks in the league. And
could have taken this guy, but we didn't.
Exactly. Yep. And I'm looking at it a little more like, okay, so we're at 2, they're at 1. The price for us to move up to 1 should not be the same as it is for the Jets, who are at 7, because I'd be telling Tennessee, do you really want to drop to 7? If your goal is to get extra capital, but still get Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, you ain't doing it at 7. Those guys won't be there. So why don't you trade with us? And then you know what you can do? Ransom the number 2 pick. After we take Cam Ward, you ransom that pick for whatever anybody wants to come up and get the next guy, Shedeur. And then whoever. And it's probably going to be the Giants. You get to move down to 3. You took capital from us. You took a haul from the Giants, and now you still get Carter.
I mean, it makes 100% sense in my head. You know what I mean? And absolutely. I guess it just comes down to how rich they want to get, and maybe they're willing. I think the consensus is they like Abdul Carter. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think Travis Hunter would be excellent too. If you're just looking to add a super skill set guy to your team, to your roster, both those guys are home runs, in my opinion. They're both. I think their upside is crazy good. Would they do that? Who knows? I don't know. I mean, it makes sense when you say it like that, hey, trade down. But I guess it depends on what teams are willing to give up. Like if the Raiders come, Raiders are at what, 6?
Yeah.
Let's say the Raiders call in, they go, look, we'll throw you, I don't know, Jacoby Myers, and a couple picks and a first. And it'd be hard to turn that down, especially for a team where you look at it and you go, there's guys, Calvin Ridley's nice, but is that the future? He's kind of older. I think they have a lot of needs across both sides of the ball. There's a quick way to do that and just ransom somebody out on it.
There really is. This episode is sponsored by ButcherBox for Pets. Browns fans, it's about time the Dawgs offered you something for the real dogs in your life. Our furry friends aren't just pets, they're part of the family. And you wouldn't let yourself or your children eat strange meat from questionable sources, and your dog shouldn't either. Right now, head to butcherboxforpets.com/dogs or use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, to get 20% off your entire order. At ButcherBox, they believe in real ingredients. Their pet foods have been developed and certified by vet nutritionists to contain 0 artificial flavors or preservatives. You get protein-packed formula with over 50% of the recipe comprised of third-party certified humane ButcherBox meat, plus functional ingredients like pre- and postbiotics to support your dog's vitality and digestion. And ButcherBox even removes the guesswork for you. Their custom meal plans are perfectly portioned to fit your dog's nutritional needs based on 8 factors, including age, weight, and activity level. I know my home wouldn't be the same without Odie, our 100-pound golden who thinks he's a 10-pound lap dog. And it gives us peace of mind knowing that we're giving him quality food instead of that factory processed garbage from the store. And speaking of the store, no need to add dog food to the shopping list ever again. ButcherBox delivers their high-quality food right to your door on the right feeding schedule for your dog. And you can change, modify, or pause your plan at any time. So head to butcherboxforpets.com/dogs and use promo code DAWGS for 20% off your order. It's time for all of us dogs to give all of our dogs the nutrition they deserve. I'm probably going to take some crap for this in the comments or whatever, but I'll just say it. I'd be willing to give next year's first along with 2 to go up to first to get Cam Ward because, and here's my reasoning for it. I'm not just saying that willy-nilly. I've been thinking about it. The cost right now. So if the Browns, and this is if the Browns come away saying Cam Ward is the guy, like that is our guy. He's the best quarterback in this class and we want him. Okay. If that's the takeaway. Your cost to go from 2 to 1 this year is nowhere near what your cost is going to be next year to try to move up to get whatever quarterback. And that's if there's a quarterback you identify as being the guy you want. People keep assuming that we'll just trade up and get Arch Manning next year. Well, okay. Yeah. If it was that easy, everybody would do that kind of stuff every year. We don't know if he's 1, going to be in the draft next year. 2, is he going to be any good? 3, are we going to be in position to trade up? Because what if it's Tennessee at 1 next year and they're like, we ain't trading it this time. We're taking the guy we want. Right. Go get him this year because and for everybody, we can't trade that. We're going to get first round picks in 26 and 27, probably when we trade Myles Garrett after June 1st anyway. So if we trade Garrett over the summer, we can't trade him before then. If you look at the dead caps, it's like
the money doesn't make sense.
No, it not even close to making sense. It would kill us for 2 years. Trade him after June 2nd, it becomes much more manageable. You'll get another first round pick next year and in 27.
Now, so I'm just going to take you on. I'm spitballing with you here.
Do it.
So if we do this, let's say we trade the first round pick and we take Cam Ward. Is Cam Ward starting next year?
Well, then that's where the summer decides it. That's where the summer. Okay. I'm still bringing in a vet. I'm probably not going so hardcore after somebody like Kirk Cousins, unless, of course, he gets cut and we can sign him for that $1.5 million or whatever that Jack Duffin said. If that's the case and he wants to come here, then yes. But if he wants to go somewhere where he's guaranteed starting all year, maybe we bring Jacoby Brissett back, which has been floated.
I mean, he did well.
Yeah.
He's a few years older, but I guess the only pushback I would say is, let's say we have another terrible year next year, and now you've traded away a number 2 pick and you've traded away, let's say, a top 5 pick, and we're still not sure. Mm-hmm. So now we're almost still in that same, is this the guy? Is this not the guy? The same stuff you've been living our whole lives. You know, I would just caution that that's a real possibility if that happens. And, you know, would we be upset? I know for me, I go, hey, they isolated that as their guy and they went after him. I've been burned by it, but I'm at least glad that they would take the shot at it and at least address it. That's one thing that everybody talks bad about Andrew Berry, but every year there's something that's not right with the team. And at least that gets overhauled every year. Now, there might be another glaring issue on somewhere else on the roster, but that usually is addressed. It was offensive line. It was, defense. Yeah. It's something every year that a positional group gets a major overhaul. I'm very much on board with you. If that's the guy, take the swing, but just be prepared for the fallback.
Absolutely.
Just in case.
That's part of the risk you take. Right. I think we kind of all on this show have felt this way. Like, I've never been one that I'm not pissed off about the 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson. No. You know what? It did not work, but they took a shot. And that's the thing that the Browns team has, like, my whole life they've never done is go take the shot. And when they did it, we were all excited. It didn't work out, but I've never looked back and been like, oh, we could have had that guy or that guy. We tried. No. That's the thing is we tried, and you have no guarantees of where you would even be in position to take anybody else. First round picks are a 50-50 chance anyway. It's a 50% hit rate no matter what you do. And that's why I'm willing to say if Cam Ward's the guy, just tell Tennessee, what do you want? What do you want for him? You want next year's first? Let's go. I want my quarterback that, and the thing is with Cam Ward, I've just, by all accounts, he nailed the interviews at the combine. Like people came away just blown away, impressed with him. I've read so much and heard so much about like other coaches and teammates talk about his leadership, and like all he cares about is football. He's so focused. He's so driven. He masters everything within the offense so that he knows what everybody is supposed to do. He tells people where to go and where to line up and calls out the protections. And he's just so dialed in that everything I've heard about him, I'm like, that's the guy I want for my team. And I love his career arc. He went from 0-star recruit.
Right. Yeah.
Because, and then I was reading more into it, just because his high school team ran the wing T offense in high school, which if you know anything about wing T, all you do is run the freaking ball. So then he had no way to prove himself to college teams that he deserved a scholarship. So he goes to Incarnate Word, proves himself over 2 seasons there, gets the transfer and go play at Washington State, does well enough there to go to Miami, gets on the big stage. And what's he do on the big stage? Heisman finalist, leads the highest scoring, highest yardage offense in the entire country, potential number 1 overall pick. I love what it's like he turned himself into what he wants to be. And that's what I like about him.
I think it shows, too, a lot about the versatility. You're talking about multiple different offenses. Right. You're talking about multiple different lingos and stuff like that, and languages and stuff like that he had to learn. Whereas, with some of the other quarterbacks we've talked about, well, this would be a perfect fit in our system.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Where this would be good for our system, but we're not sure about some of these other guys. I wouldn't worry about that with him. I think that everything that his, like you said, his career arc has shown, no problem. Versatility. I think he'd pick it up. Would there be learning curves? Absolutely. Sure. He's a kid, a rookie in the NFL. It's going to come at you very, very quickly. But do I think that he could be successful? Sure. I sure as hell hope so. You know what I mean? Like,
right. I just like, where are we as fans to say, oh, well, he ran a different style offense in college. There's no way he could run this offense. Like he can't possibly learn a new offense. Of course he can. And the thing with and I get the whole, well, Shedeur's playing style fits Kevin Stefanski. What if we draft him at 2 and then next year it's not Kevin Stefanski anymore?
That's a real possibility. That's a serious. What if he sits for a year and let's say, I don't think Kirk Cousins is coming. I've kind of in my head the money. No, just after like reading about it, they're basically his like cut cost is the same amount as they would be paying him. So why wouldn't you just keep him on your roster? And if let's say Penix isn't working out, next year it would make sense to me money wise right now.
It's the $10 million roster bonus from what I understand.
The way I thought that the way that I read it was it basically broke down to like 38 million either way, whether they cut him or whether he was on the roster, it was going to be a cap hit.
Well, see,
in similar fashion.
Yeah, I think you're right. But from what I understood is and I think it's by Wednesday next week, if he's still on the roster Wednesday, when the league year starts, then he is owed a $10 million roster bonus that they cannot change. They have to pay him whether they end up trading or cutting him after that. So that's why all the speculation is they're going to try to trade or cut him beforehand because they're going to take on those cap hits either way, but they could still save that $10 million.
Okay.
I don't know. But I mean, we'll see. We're getting right up to the league year starting here.
I know. It's very, very exciting.
Yeah.
But like you were saying, sorry, I went off track there, but let's say we bring in a guy and some of the names are floating around. I saw Carson Wentz. I went, oh man, Jesus Christ, we are screwed. Then Marcus Mariota, I'm like, oh man. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'm just preparing that just in case this thing does go off the rails, there's a really good chance that we don't have a head coach and we don't have a GM next year. And, we've gotten to this point. Yeah. It played out like it did. Would it be awful if we wasted a year of a rookie teaching him all this stuff in this offense and then we completely flip it the next year into that would be a very Cleveland Browns thing to do. I've seen that happen a million times since 99 where we're just every year rotating different offenses, different coaches, different management. We've been on board that we were so happy that there's just consistency, through good and bad. At least, we knew what we were getting rolling into the new league year. We weren't looking for a coach. We weren't looking for a GM. There's a serious possibility that we're doing that next year. And I don't want to do that to a rookie quarterback. So I'm hoping that this thing's pan out and we can just build off of this year. But
yeah, me too. And I don't know. I've liked Cam Ward even before the process, or I mean, during my process of going through these quarterbacks and stuff. And then just as this whole combine thing developed, I'm like, it's kind of just confirming everything that I felt when I was watching it. And I watched a lot of Shedeur's film too and stuff. And there to me, there's a significant difference between the two. I mean, for me, it was clear. Cam Ward is QB1. His skill set, his abilities on the field, they are on the level of they can be elite. I won't say they are because he's a prospect right now. We have no idea.
We don't know.
In college football, I'd say he was pretty elite. What he could do on the field, the way he could throw the ball, and I hear a lot of people say that he can't read a defense. He's scrambling around back there too much. He's moving around in the pocket because he's reading the defense. It's from what I can tell. Like he's going through his progressions, but he's also realizing there's pressure coming this way. So he navigates the pocket so well. And I said this in an episode like a month ago, but there's a lot of his tape that reminds me of vintage Houston Texans Deshaun Watson. The Deshaun Watson that made him a 3-time Pro Bowler, that made him worth everything that all these teams were willing to give up to go get him. I've seen some of those traits with Cam Ward, and he's electric. He really is.
Yep. You just scared off the entire Cleveland Browns fan base.
I know. I'm like, take the bad taste of Cleveland Browns Watson out of your mouth and just try to remember, if you can, what he was like in Houston. Because I remember watching Houston Texans games, and I'm like, dude, this guy is fucking awesome. And
slinging it.
Other things came into play there, but
Yeah, sure.
Cam, I'm not putting anybody else's bad karma on another guy because Cam Ward's his own dude, and by all accounts, he's locked in and ready to go. But again, go back to that number 2 pick. If we don't trade up, if somebody else comes up or Tennessee sticks, either way, Cam Ward goes 1. I still want Shedeur too because we've got to get this quarterback thing figured out. It's killing this franchise not having one.
I agree with you. I think that it is kind of reckless, in my opinion, right now, if we don't take a quarterback. If we leave it up to, we're going to take a late round guy and hopefully we bring in a free agent quarterback, I'm just going to prepare for a new coach and GM next year. Depending on who those guys are. If you roll into next year with Gabriel and let's say, Carson Wentz, I'm not very optimistic about how things this upcoming season where it's, foot to the fire, win or you're fired. I don't feel great about it. I don't.
No, I don't either. And, there's been so much stuff about, okay, so I people are making great points online when I'm reading them, and they're saying if Cam Ward is truly the Browns guy, and that's the guy they want, which was the buzz coming out of the combine. Everybody I read was like, the Browns love Cam Ward. That's what people were hearing and getting from what they were seeing there and hearing. Why would the Browns put it out there? They're so tight-lipped about everything. They don't let their intentions be known. So why would this be known? And I think it's a great point. Maybe they are making a smokescreen to try to get some other team to trade up, take Cam Ward, and they're like, hey, we wanted Shedeur Sanders anyway, so we're just going to take him at 2. That's very possible. I've been putting some notes together. I'm going to read them here for you. Okay. This is what, I've long thought that maybe Kevin Stefanski's a little bit more of a Shedeur Sanders fan, but I would just bet money that Andrew Berry is a Cam Ward fan. So my reasoning is, I already talked about why Cam Ward has some traits that are similar to Deshaun Watson. Well, Andrew Berry gave the biggest contract ever to, guaranteed money to a quarterback, Deshaun Watson, to bring him to Cleveland. Spent all those draft picks to go get him. Then he spent a 5th round pick on DTR to try to solidify the backup spot. Think about DTR's skill set. He made a huge effort to revamp the entire quarterback room after they used 5 guys in 2023. None of that worked, obviously, but it still shows these guys are, Andrew Berry in the front office, they're pretty determined to get the quarterback thing figured out. The quarterbacks that the front office and Andrew Berry have invested in intentionally, meaning proactively brought these guys in, it's Deshaun Watson, DTR, Josh Dobbs, Kellen Mond, PJ Walker, Jameis Winston, Tyler Huntley. Those aren't Shedeur Sanders type quarterbacks. They want that playmaker that can create plays off script, make plays downfield with a strong arm. And that's why I feel like, Cam Ward might be more of the guy Berry in the front office would covet. But
does it make you nervous that potentially the head coach and the GM don't even see eye to eye on the quarterback of the future? I mean, I guess it doesn't. And for me, I'm like, if Andrew Berry, that's the guy that Andrew Berry wants, you have to turn the card in. Now, there has to be, they're in one direction always, collaboration. I hear that all the time, right. So eventually they're going to get on the same page with what they want to do. But it is, like you said, it is interesting that you never hear too much about guys they love or don't, or things that make them nervous. And then all of a sudden there's this huge wave of support for Browns to take Cam Ward at 2. And who knows, maybe he won't even be available. But, if that's their game, if that's the guy that they like, this makes no sense to me.
Well, and I can see see the smokescreen side of things too, because going into the combine, the drumbeat was Browns love Shedeur. Look at all these connections, tying Shedeur to Cleveland, all this stuff. Shedeur, I play with the Browns in Madden and all this, my first visits with the Browns, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then you come out of the combine, it's like, all right, things have changed. The Browns are all about Cam Ward. And it really, whatever they're doing, it's working, because now obviously we're all talking about it.
We don't know what the hell, So
maybe they do love Cam Ward. And they're like, either way, these people don't know what the hell's going on. So
either way, we're at 2.
Either way, we're at 2 at the moment. So we'll see what happens. I know I read the Titans have their top 4 guys. It's going to be Ward, Sanders, Carter, and Hunter come in for visits over the next week and a half before free agency opens up. And then after that, it could be open season for that first round pick to see if it gets moved. This episode is brought to you by Boden Sports. Browns fans, Boden Sports is your one-stop shop for all your athletic gear. Boden started out perfecting and manufacturing the best balls in the business. Yeah, if that sounded dirty, that's more about your mind than my words. But hey, it's true. Baseballs, softballs, footballs, basketballs, volleyballs, soccer balls, you name it, and Boden has engineered the highest standard sports balls available. And now they offer more than just sports balls. If you got kids playing baseball or softball, Boden has batting gloves and bats to go along with both game balls and training balls. If you're into basketball, Boden makes basketball specifically for indoor or outdoor use. Heck, Boden even has all the equipment you need for pickleball, which is one sport that I hear everyone is playing and yet I still never have. And I need to fix that soon. But don't miss the backyard game section of Boden's website where you can order everything you need for this upcoming outdoor season. Pool balls, backyard volleyball nets, croquet, bocce, horseshoes, cornhole, and more. Right now, you can get 10% off your entire order at Boden Sports, BADEN sports.com/dogs, DAWGS, and use promo code DOGS when you check out. That's 10% off all the top quality sporting gear you need this season. BodenSports.com/dogs. So let's just have a discussion. If the Browns decide to stay at 2 and not pick a quarterback,
Yes.
who would you want them to take?
So I had to think about this a little bit because I've been all over the place this offseason. Right during bowl season, Abdul Carter made a splash, in my opinion. Like, I loved watching his film and just his game in general. The more I thought about it, I went, our offense stinks. And obviously we have a quarterback problem, but we've gotten old and the weapons are kind of old or unreliable.
Or just non-existent.
I think we think we have something nice in Jerry Jeudy. At least in my opinion, I would say there's at least there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
David Njoku, nice tight end, but after that. But after that,
but after that,
and so and we'll see how things play out and stuff like that. So I decided maybe go with the Cincinnati approach. Maybe you take, like a Jamar Chase. And I'm not saying this guy is Jamar Chase, but I'm saying that this guy is a weapon. And I'll just say it. I'm going to say Ted McMillan from Arizona.
Tedero.
Yeah. There you go. Yep. So, just the more I've watched stuff on him, and then you hear his pro comps. His pro comps are T. Higgins and Drake London. We could use a little T. Higgins, Drake London action on the Cleveland Browns. Super long, lanky kid. I think he's 6'4", 215, high point, super athletic. His route running is nice. They said it could be worked on a little bit, but his route tree for the most part is pretty complete. He's a serious weapon. I think about him and you can run any of the rest, X, Y, Z, slot, whatever wherever you want him at, this guy can line up wherever. I look at it as a playmaker. Give me a 6'4" guy in the red zone to throw to with David Njoku. And then you have Jerry Jeudy streaking all over the place. And, just when you start looking at his tape and stuff like that, he's legit. Does he need work? Yes. Is he a home run? Is he like a Justin Jefferson or like a Jamar Chase where it seems like this dude's just going to come out and just get shot out of a cannon? And
they didn't even know Justin Jefferson was going to be a home run. He was picked
Correct.
in the 20s or something?
Yeah. What? 17, 16?
Yeah, I know it was later. Yeah.
Yep.
You never know.
But I mean, as far as the Jamar Chase, as the draft strategy,
this is the clear wide receiver
weapon
one,
and then get your quarterback. If we're not going to take the quarterback, where that was my rationale with it. If we're not going to take the quarterback, who's very, very important and throwing the ball to said players, might as well go get the player that's going to catch it on the other end. Now, you could take this kid, and if we don't have a quarterback, it doesn't really matter. But in this exercise, I would say add a weapon to the offense. The offense is very stagnant, very vanilla, lacks explosiveness, lacks even separation as far as the wide receiver room. Throw this kid in the mix.
So if I'm the Browns and I take quarterback at 2, or if, I trade up and I take Cam Ward at 1, whatever, then I'm going to take the closest thing to Ted McMillan that I've seen through looking through these prospects and everything at 33. And I'm taking Trey Harris out of Ole Miss.
I know that you like this kid.
I love Trey Harris. I think he's going to be a freaking baller, alpha dog, wide receiver in the NFL. But if I'm the Browns, or if the Browns are at 2, they're not taking a quarterback, I would want them to come. So you picked the wide receiver 2 of this class with Ted McMillan. I want the wide receiver 1. I want Travis Hunter. Interesting notes. Travis Hunter definitely at the combine talked heavily about how he wants to play 100% of the snaps both ways. Well, dude, there ain't no way. Not going to happen. Impossible. You will get hurt. I promise. And you won't be as effective at either position. So a lot of buzz that he primarily wants to be used as a cornerback, or that's kind of his top position. But I see so many scouts talking about he's not the best cornerback in this class, but he is the best wide receiver. And from watching Shedeur Sanders tape, I'm like, okay, Shadeur's he's a good quarterback. Travis Hunter's freaking awesome. He is. Yeah. You want to talk about a Jamar Chase talent? Yeah. When this guy gets the ball in his hands, you can't tackle him. He's shifty. He's wiggly. He's fast, and he can run routes. He can separate. He can catch. He's a dog on the field. And
The catch radius is crazy. I don't think anything in his direction is uncatchable.
No, me either.
Depending on how off angle it is.
Yeah, and interesting from the combine, Andrew Berry was asked. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he was asked about Travis Hunter, and he said, exceptional athlete, generational, all that kind of stuff. And he said, I would use him primarily as a wide receiver. And I thought that was interesting that all the buzz is about Travis Hunter being a cornerback with some wide receiver reps mixed in. And Andrew Berry's out here like, no, I want him at wide receiver. And that's where I would want him, because while he's great at both positions and you can use him sparingly on defense, but absolutely, I want him on offense.
I mean, it's a nice luxury. You have a solid, he might be the one on our team. We don't we've got a 8-9 game sample of Jerry Jeudy looking great. And then it's a little blurry in between there. You know what I mean? We'd like to believe we got a guy. This is a guy that he is a stud, super athletic. And then, like you said, let's say there's some big plays here and there. You know what I mean? You can slide this guy in on defense, a big play here, where you need to have a stop.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Tight game.
You know what I mean? You can slide this kid in. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. So you're a Ted at 2, and I'm a Hunter at 2, and Blake, I would say in that situation, if I'm taking Ted, I'm trading back though. Well, let's talk about. Let's talk about that then, because that was going to be the next question that I wanted to kind of go around here was,
okay,
the Browns. So we've already gone over what do we want to do at 2? Do we want to trade up at 1? What if the Browns decide not to go quarterback at 2? Who would we want? What if the Browns decide we're trading back? How far would you trade back, and who is the target for you?
I don't think we were all kind of talking about this earlier. I don't think you can trade back farther than 4, because New England, that would be a great landing spot for McMillan, with Drake May. They're obviously not taking a quarterback. I don't think you can risk going back farther than that, but I hate the trade back. I know, it's the gather the picks, I don't want us to do that. I know that we need to acquire picks and back from what we lost over the last 3 years, but every time I've watched the Browns do that, which is every year for my entire life, it fucking burns us. And we look dumb as shit, and people talk crap about our team. And it's been like this for my entire life.
Yeah, man.
So, in my opinion, if we're on the clock, I don't want us to trade back, because I'd rather us go, we screwed that pick up, but at least we took the pick. At least we didn't trade back, and then we end up with Justin Gilbert. No thanks. I'm cool. I'll just take my chances on these guys. Yeah,
I'm with you. And just as a note, I think the most likely thing that happens, Browns stay put at 2 and pick either a quarterback or best available on their board, because Andrew Berry rarely trades up and he rarely trades back. I mean, he's only traded back a few times, and it was kind of the year we went back and ended up with Martin Emerson in the 3rd. We didn't have a pick till the 3rd that year. I think that was the year we traded the 2nd for Elijah Moore. And then the only time I think we've really traded up for anything substantial was to go get JOK
Yep.
in the 2nd
Absolutely.
round.
Yep.
So I think that's the most likely. But if they did trade back, I'd be a little willing to risk a little more to go to 6 with the Raiders, because I'm just kind of looking the order here. If the Giants trade up to 1 and they take Cam Ward, then, say we trade with the Raiders, they come up and they take Shedeur. And then Tennessee's at 3, they get Abdul Carter, which is what they probably wanted. New England, they could take Ted or they could take Travis Hunter.
Sure.
So one of those two guys is still on the board. Jacksonville could take one of those receiver guys, but they've got they've got big holes on their defense. They could take Mason Graham, sure, or they could take Will Johnson, the cornerback, or whatever, the top defender that's still on the board. And then that puts us at 6. And now we're sitting there going, okay, we can either take Tet's on the board or Hunter or Mason Graham or Will Johnson. And even at 7 with the Jets wouldn't be bad either, because we're, a handful of those guys are still going to be on the board. So anywhere within that top 7, if they do trade back, which I don't want them to, don't mistake me here, don't want that to happen, but they could still land a pretty good player if they do that.
I'm not going to lie. If it's draft night and we trade back or we trade out on 2, I'm going to be devastated.
Dude, the draft night's going to be interesting, because the Browns pick so early in the night that they could fuck up the rest of the night for us on the show.
Oh, yes. I wouldn't put it past them one bit.
I mean, they trade back to like 17 or something. We might just shut it off and say, all right, live stream over.
Yeah.
We're not even going to stick around.
Yeah, we traded out of the 1st.
Yeah.
We picked up an extra 6th. Cool, guys. All right, I'm just going to get the hell out of here later.
Man. I will say one thing. I mean, when it comes to trading, Andrew Berry usually gets the most bang for his buck with his trades.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Now, obviously, I can hear everybody screaming, Deshaun Watson, that was a bust.
That was a bad one.
If Deshaun Watson comes here and plays quarterback the way everybody thought he still could, because remember, 16 teams tried to trade for him, or at least inquired. 4 teams submitted trade packages that were accepted. I don't know how many teams submitted trade packages that were rejected. Right. We always talk about the 4 teams that tried to trade for him. There were probably a lot more. They just weren't accepted. Everybody's going after this guy because of what they thought he could do. So really, I mean, if Deshaun came here and played that way, those 3 first-round picks wouldn't have mattered a damn bit to us. We'd be so pumped,
I remember us saying, all we need is just moderately decent quarterback play, and we're going to be great. Well, we didn't get that, unfortunately.
Instead, we got league bottom.
And we got a 3-14 record for our good fandom services,
Yeah, we did. We got the number 2 overall pick by the good graces of the Giants, winning a late game last year with Drew Lock that they had no business winning. If I was a Giants fan, I'd have been so mad about that. And it's like, go take your quarterback. You got gifted this number 2 pick. You sucked balls all year, and you got gifted the number 2 pick. Think about that. Yep. There were still teams that were playing worse than you, and you were terrible. And you still got the 2 pick. Use it. Use it on a quarterback, because that's what's holding you back the most. And if it's Shedeur and it doesn't work, or it's Cam and it doesn't work, like Blake says all the time, then you're right back in the spot for getting a quarterback next year anyway. So who cares? Just, you got to try.
Well, and what world are we living in where we're just like, we don't even need a quarterback. We'll just figure it out with the rest of our roster.
Oh my gosh.
I don't get it. And it's crazy because the older and more senile that I get, because I'm getting into my 40s and we're still trying to figure this question out. What are we doing? Can we at least, it's just, I don't know. It's just frustrating. And to me, it seems so blatantly, like, painfully obvious, but maybe it isn't.
I mean, I keep telling people, like, on social media, they're, sign a vet and, draft, Will Howard in the 3rd, and we'll get a quarterback next year.
I like Will Howard. I think they should draft Will Howard also. and bring a vet. Like we've all been saying, throw as much shit at the wall as you can. Something will stick.
Right. But a lot of people seem to just think, just go the vet and then mid-round quarterback route. Well, that's like, we're going to sign Jake Delhomme and draft Cody Kessler. Let's see how this goes. It never works. We've done this a million times and it just doesn't. That's why the freaking jersey's so long. Because that's the stuff we keep trying. So I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing. This draft season's been the most fun since we've been doing this show.
I literally, it's such a shift from the lowest of lows to, oh man, I'm kind of excited again.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I just want to shout out James from the IX Indoor Amusement Center at the car show. James, I was talking to James on the way out. He was running security. I went up for the Nick Chubb signing, bullshitted about the Browns, got him subscribed up. I just want to shout out James. Good guy. Look forward to getting having you do security real soon while I get more autographs. Let's go, bro.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, James, for taking care of our boy Justin up there. That's right. I forgot to mention, you got to go up and meet Nick Chubb real quick. What was that like?
It was lovely. It was lovely. For me, that's my guy. That's a guy, like, I think about the Browns. That's the first guy that pops in. He's just a great dude. And then it was really nice for that to, like, when you got to actually go up, and I expected to get my thing signed and just keep going. He talked to my daughter for a few seconds, and there was tons of people there. Yeah. Like, it was one of those things, no pictures, blah, blah, from while you're in line. And he took a few seconds, and it really meant a lot, especially from somebody that I really like. I look up to as like a player of the organization. I was like, that's so cool. And you watch like people leaving, like grown men eking out, like just laughing and like high-fiving each other. It's Nick Chubb, and like, unfortunately, he'll always be that guy to me, but man, I just hope a rebound year coming.
Me too. And I hope it's back with the Browns. I think it will be. Yeah. If I had to bet, I think he'll be back with the Browns. I think it's going to work out that way. The funniest video online from that event up there, I don't know if you saw the video, but Nick Chubb comes walking through the crowd to go take his seat to start doing the autographs, and some lady in the crowd yells, "We love you, Chubb. Don't let them trade you." And everybody was like, "Please remove this woman from our fan base." Somebody educate.
It's tough. It's tough out there,
It's so funny.
That poor woman got dragged there by her husband for 3 hours. She was just in the moment.
I've seen, and it's not, I'm just cracking up on that video, but I see people all the time on social media. They're like, well, just trade Jameis Winston. I'm like, you guys, he's not even on the freaking team anymore. Come on. Like,
it's tough.
You got to know who's a free agent, who's not, but I get it. There's diehard fans like us and everybody in the dog pack. Join thedawgs.com. Head there if you want diehard fans. And then there's casual fans, and everybody's got a place in the fan base. Best fans in the world, as far as I'm concerned. So
absolutely,
definitely the most loyal. Nobody else is going to put up with this much bullshit and stick around.
The most loyal, yes. Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we don't have more bullshit coming, because I just want them to do the right thing. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know we had fun just BSing around here and everything. Blake, hope your daughter's okay, and everybody just drop in the comments what you think about everything we talked about. Who do you guys want it to? Do you want to trade up to 1? Do you want to trade back? Do you want somebody other than a quarterback? Let's hear it. Let's hash it out.
Let's talk. Yeah.
We've got a week or so until free agency opens up, and then another month, 6-7 weeks until the draft. So it's coming. It's coming fast, and we're here for it all. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Stay tuned into the feed. There's going to be tons of stuff coming. A lot of rookie profile stuff, breakdowns, all of it. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Till we see you in the next one, let's go Browns.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
This episode is brought to you by Danger Coffee. Browns fans, we talk about how Danger Coffee is made free from mold toxins that are in 45% of the world's coffee, but that's not all that Danger Coffee has to offer. Mineral and nutrient deficiencies are a big deal. They make you feel sick, tired, stressed, and they can give you brain fog. These deficiencies negatively affect your immune system, your digestion, sleep, metabolism. Have you ever wondered why you get an initial burst from your coffee, but then you get that little crash not long after? Danger Coffee's patent-pending process remineralizes your body with more than 50 trace minerals and electrolytes, leaving you more energized, engaged, powerful. These micronutrients enter the cells to boost performance. They bind to toxins to provide detoxification support. I know that sounds like a lot, but the bottom line, guys, is minerals matter, and most of us really don't get enough of them on a daily basis. Danger Coffee delivers micronutrients, plus it gives you access to the minerals you already have. Head to dangercoffee.com, use our code DAWGS, DAWGS, for 10% off your order, and that code can be used over and over, so you get 10% off every order you make using code DAWGS. It's time to start every day off with a cup of coffee that gets you going and actually keeps you going. dangercoffee.com, code DAWGS.